In the quiet streets of Riverton, a small town where everyone knows everyone, a mysterious letter appears in the library. Detective Sam Harper senses a puzzle hidden in plain sight, one that could unravel secrets long buried. Detective Sam Harper adjusted the brim of his fedora as he stepped off the polished wooden porch of his modest office. The crisp evening air carried a faint chill, and the distant glow of street lamps cast long, golden shadows across Riverton's cobblestone streets. Harper's eyes, trained over decades, scanned the quiet town with the calm vigilance of someone who expected the unexpected. A courier approached, holding a sealed envelope. "Detective Harper? This just arrived for you. No return address." Harper took the envelope carefully, noting the heavy cream paper, the faint scent of ink, and the elegant script. "Meet me at midnight in the Riverton Public Library. There is something you must see before it vanishes." He furrowed his brow. Midnight meetings rarely promised civility in a town where everyone thought they knew each other. Harper pocketed the letter, the familiar thrill of mystery stirring in his chest. The Riverton Public Library stood at the edge of town, its brick walls covered with ivy and its windows reflecting the moonlight like watchful eyes. Harper approached cautiously, noting the rustle of leaves and the faint hum of the night. Something felt deliberate. Someone wanted him here, alone, guided by curiosity and urgency. Inside, the library smelled of old paper, polished oak, and a hint of candle wax, a familiar, comforting combination. The main hall was dim, moonlight streaming through tall arched windows, casting intricate patterns across the polished floors. Harper's footsteps echoed softly as he moved toward the center. A single chair sat beneath a reading lamp, an envelope placed neatly on its seat. Harper's gloved fingers traced the edges before opening it carefully. Inside was a folded piece of parchment, slightly yellowed with age. It read, "The manuscript holds secrets older than Riverton itself. Find the truth before it disappears." Harper's pulse quickened. The library had long been a repository of local history, but a missing manuscript suggested more than mere academic interest. Someone, somewhere, had stolen or hidden something valuable, and wanted him to follow. He began inspecting the room, noting every detail. A faint scuff near the entrance, a bookshelf slightly askew, the smell of a candle lingering near the historical archives. Harper crouched, examining the floorboards. Tiny scratches revealed movement, a careful, deliberate path leading toward a secluded alcove. Pushing aside a row of books, Harper found a small, concealed door, partially hidden in shadow. He paused, noting the faint glimmer of something metallic beyond. A lock, old but sturdy, suggested someone had hidden this place for a reason. Harper's trained eyes caught the delicate etching on the metal, a symbol resembling a quill crossed with a key. Harper's hand hovered over the lock. The manuscript might be inside, or the trap could be set for anyone who dared open it. As the clock in the hall chimed midnight, Harper realized that the night's mystery was only beginning, and Riverton's quiet streets would never seem the same again. In the silent corridors of the Riverton Public Library, Detective Sam Harper begins uncovering hidden passages and cryptic symbols. The manuscript is close, but so is danger, lurking in the shadows where only the most observant can see. Detective Sam Harper knelt before the small, concealed door, his fingers brushing over the intricate etching of a quill crossed with a key. The symbol felt familiar, though he could not immediately place it. It was precise, deliberate, almost ceremonial, a mark meant to be noticed only by those who understood its significance. He examined the lock carefully. Though old, it showed signs of recent handling. Someone had been here recently, perhaps leaving behind a trail of clues meant to guide, or mislead, a curious observer. Harper pried open the door cautiously, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. The faint scent of dust, candle wax, and old parchment greeted him. With flashlight in hand, he descended slowly, each step echoing softly. The staircase ended in a small chamber lined with shelves of forgotten books, leather-bound journals, and stacks of yellowed papers. In the center of the room lay a wooden lectern, a single beam of moonlight illuminating a parchment lying across it. Harper's heart quickened. Could this be the elusive manuscript? As he approached, he noticed subtle anomalies. Several of the books on the shelves had been moved recently. The dust pattern suggested deliberate disturbance. A faint scratch on the floor led toward the rear wall, where a bookshelf appeared slightly out of alignment. Harper pushed gently. It swung open, revealing a hidden alcove barely wide enough for one person. Inside the alcove, he found a desk with a lockbox, its surface covered with tiny etchings of musical notes intertwined with letters. Harper's instincts told him this was no ordinary lockbox. It required careful observation and patience to open. He crouched and examined it, noting a series of faint markings along the hinges, a code, perhaps, left by someone who wanted the manuscript to be discovered only by the most meticulous. Suddenly, a faint creak echoed from above. Harper froze. Someone was moving through the library, careful not to make a sound. His flashlight swept the room, illuminating shadows among the shelves, but no figure appeared. Whoever had left the manuscript, or had hidden it, might still be nearby. Harper returned his attention to the lockbox. Using the subtle scratches and etchings as a guide, he maneuvered the latch carefully. With a soft click, it opened, revealing a bundle of papers tied with a ribbon. He lifted the parchment gently, heart racing. It was the manuscript, filled with delicate handwriting, cryptic symbols, and marginal notes hinting at a hidden story buried deep in Riverton's history. As Harper examined it, he realized the manuscript contained more than historical records. There were references to secret societies, hidden passageways, and coded letters exchanged among influential townsfolk decades ago. Someone had preserved these secrets carefully, and someone else had tried to suppress them. A shadow flickered at the far end of the chamber, and Harper heard the softest whisper. "You shouldn't have found it." He spun toward the sound, flashlight cutting through the darkness, only to find the space empty. The manuscript was in his hands, but now, he knew, the real danger had just begun. The manuscript is found, but Riverton's secrets run deeper than anyone imagined. Detective Sam Harper realizes that the librarian entrusted with these hidden truths may not be as safe as the pages she guarded. Detective Sam Harper carefully rolled the manuscript, securing it in his satchel. The room smelled of aged paper and candle smoke, and the faint moonlight highlighted the dust particles suspended in the still air. His mind raced, cataloging every detail. Someone had hidden this manuscript intentionally, but why leave a trail that led directly to it? A soft shuffle from above the stairwell drew his attention. Harper moved quietly, flashlight scanning the shelves. "Hello?" he called. Only silence answered. He descended the staircase with caution, steps echoing against stone walls. At the bottom, a single desk lamp flickered, illuminating scattered papers. Harper noticed the absence immediately. The archivist who had cared for this secret trove, Miss Beatrice Caldwell, was gone. The chair behind the desk was pushed back, papers strewn as though she had left in haste. Harper's pulse quickened. Miss Caldwell was a quiet woman, methodical and dedicated, who had tended the library for decades. She would not abandon the manuscript willingly. Someone had taken her, and it was no accident. He examined the desk carefully, noticing a faint smear of ink near the drawer handle, a hurried mark, almost like a signature left behind in haste. He opened the drawer and found a note tucked beneath a stack of journals. "The manuscript is only the beginning. Seek the key where history sleeps." The cryptic message suggested a larger scheme, and Harper's instincts confirmed it. The manuscript had been a lure, and Miss Caldwell's disappearance signaled that the mystery extended beyond the library walls. He checked the surrounding shelves, brushing aside piles of neglected books. One of the shelves had slight scratches at the base, consistent with someone sliding it to reveal a hidden passage. Harper's mind raced. Could Miss Caldwell have discovered it herself? Or had the kidnapper used this secret corridor? With flashlight steady, he investigated the floorboards leading to the hidden passage. Harper descended carefully, the air growing cooler, damper, and tinged with the faint scent of mold and candle wax. The corridor was narrow, lined with stone walls, and ended abruptly in a small chamber. Inside, he found a bundle of books stacked haphazardly. Among them lay Miss Caldwell's scarf, snagged and left behind in the rush. Harper's jaw tightened. Whoever had taken her was aware of the library's secret passages and the manuscript's importance. This was no ordinary theft, it was a carefully orchestrated plan. A faint sound echoed from deeper within the passage, a footstep, deliberate and slow. Harper's hand instinctively moved to his coat pocket, fingers brushing the familiar handle of his revolver. He followed the sound cautiously, aware that a single misstep could alert the kidnapper. At the end of the corridor, he noticed a small trapdoor slightly ajar. Harper crouched, listening. Through the narrow opening, he glimpsed a dimly lit room. Miss Caldwell sat at a small table, tied loosely to a chair, her eyes wide but resolute. Across from her, a tall figure adjusted a bundle of papers, likely the very manuscript Harper had recovered. Harper's pulse quickened. The kidnapper had not yet noticed him. One wrong move could put both the manuscript and Miss Caldwell in grave danger. Harper knew he had to act, but the shadows of Riverton held secrets that demanded patience and precision. Detective Sam Harper has found Miss Caldwell, but Riverton's hidden corridors conceal more than manuscripts. A sudden movement ignites a chase that winds through the library's shadowed stacks, and every second counts. Detective Sam Harper froze in the narrow corridor, his heart racing as he assessed the situation. Miss Caldwell's eyes, wide with fear yet burning with trust, followed his every movement. The figure across the room, hunched over the manuscript, did not yet see him. Harper needed a plan, and he needed it fast. He inched forward, keeping low and silent. Every creak of the wooden floorboards seemed amplified in the quiet chamber. The kidnapper's shadow shifted, their hand reaching for a bundle of papers, the manuscript he had worked so carefully to recover. Harper's grip on his revolver tightened. Suddenly, the figure turned, sensing movement. Harper sprang into action. The kidnapper bolted, dashing toward the hidden passage he had come through. Harper pursued, his flashlight sweeping across rows of towering shelves stacked with neglected books and brittle scrolls. The chase was tense. Harper's boots echoed on the polished floors, mingling with the softer, quicker footsteps of the fleeing figure. Shadows leapt across the walls as the two navigated the winding corridors. Each turn brought Harper closer, yet the labyrinthine stacks offered countless opportunities to vanish. Miss Caldwell, though frightened, called softly behind him. "Detective, watch out for the floorboards near the east wing. They're loose." Harper acknowledged her warning with a quick nod, adjusting his steps to avoid the trap. The chase continued through the heart of the library, where dust-laden volumes teetered precariously on narrow shelves. One careless knock and the noise could alert the town outside, or worse, give the kidnapper a chance to escape. Finally, they reached the east wing, a section Harper had barely explored. It was colder here, the faint scent of old wood mingling with candle wax. Ahead, the kidnapper paused, then vanished through a partially open door leading to the maintenance corridor. Harper followed, stepping carefully through the dimly lit hallway. At the far end, the corridor opened into a small atrium. Moonlight poured through tall windows, casting long shadows across the polished stone floor. The kidnapper slowed, realizing Harper was gaining ground. The manuscript, clutched tightly, shimmered faintly in the pale light. Harper moved swiftly, covering the distance. "Stop, you're not taking that manuscript anywhere," he called. The kidnapper spun, revealing a familiar face. One Harper had seen only in passing at town meetings. Harold Pennington, a local historian obsessed with preserving Riverton's hidden past. His eyes were wide with desperation, hands trembling as he held the manuscript. "I only wanted to protect it," Harold shouted. "Nobody understands its importance. If it's published, everything could change, the history, the secrets of Riverton. I can't let that happen." Harper's pulse steadied. He understood Harold's motives, misguided, perhaps, but rooted in obsession rather than malice. Carefully, he approached, keeping his voice calm. "Harold, it's already recovered. No harm has been done. Let's ensure everyone's safety, including yours." Harold hesitated, glancing toward the atrium exit. Harper knew any sudden move could send him fleeing again, or worse, endanger Miss Caldwell. The night's mystery was close to resolution, but would reason prevail, or would Riverton's secrets vanish into the shadows forever? With the kidnapper cornered, Detective Sam Harper finally uncovers the full depth of Riverton's secrets. In the hidden archives, the true story behind the manuscript begins to emerge, and the town's past comes alive. Detective Sam Harper guided Harold Pennington gently toward a sturdy table in the atrium, where Miss Caldwell had been quietly watching, her relief visible in her trembling hands. The manuscript lay between them, its aged parchment gleaming faintly in the pale moonlight. Harper allowed a brief pause to steady the tension that hung in the air like a thick fog. Harold's eyes darted nervously between Harper and the manuscript. "You don't understand," he whispered, his voice low, almost pleading. "This document, it contains Riverton's original history, the true lineage of the town's founders, and secrets that were deliberately erased." Harper leaned forward, keeping his tone calm. "Secrets don't have to vanish to be protected, Harold. You risked Miss Caldwell, and yourself, to hide them. That's not protection, that's danger." Harold swallowed, glancing at the manuscript. "I only wanted to preserve the truth. The town, it's built on lies. If people knew the original records, everything would change. Families, reputations, even ownership of certain lands. It's delicate." Miss Caldwell, still seated, spoke softly. "But Harold, hiding it only gives more power to fear. The manuscript can be preserved safely. History can be honored without placing ourselves in jeopardy." Harper nodded. "Exactly. This manuscript needs care, not secrecy. And those who value history, like you, Harold, can help ensure its safety in the right hands." Together, they moved toward the hidden archives Harper had discovered earlier. It was a secure room behind a reinforced door, filled with carefully catalogued records, old newspapers, and artifacts from Riverton's early days. Here, the manuscript could be studied and preserved without risk. As Harold carefully laid the parchment on a flat surface, Harper examined the writing. It contained meticulous accounts of the town's founding, personal letters between key figures, and references to forgotten locations, hidden gardens, old homesteads, and secret meeting places that had shaped the town. The manuscript was not just a historical record, it was a map of Riverton's origins, a story long buried under the weight of selective memory. Harper turned to Harold. "This is incredible, but you must understand, revelation without preparation can be dangerous. People aren't always ready to hear truths that shake their understanding of the past." Harold nodded slowly, a mixture of relief and resignation in his expression. "I see that now. I acted hastily, but perhaps it's not too late to do it right." Miss Caldwell added, "We can catalog it carefully, make it available to scholars, and preserve it in a controlled manner. No need for midnight chases or secret passages." Harper allowed himself a small smile. "History doesn't vanish, Harold. It waits for those who listen carefully and respect it. And tonight, we've ensured that truth can be preserved safely." As the first rays of dawn filtered through the library windows, Harper glanced back at the manuscript, knowing that Riverton's hidden stories had been partially revealed, but also realizing that some secrets were never meant to leave the archives. One final mystery still lingered, waiting quietly in the shadows of the past. Even with the manuscript secured, Riverton still holds a secret, a final message hidden for decades. Detective Sam Harper senses that one last revelation could tie together the mystery, history, and hidden ambitions of those involved. Detective Sam Harper lingered in the hidden archives, the early morning light casting gentle rays across shelves stacked high with yellowed records and carefully preserved artifacts. The manuscript lay open on the table, and Harold Pennington hovered nearby, his fingers trembling slightly as he traced the faded ink lines. "There's more to it," Harold whispered, voice hushed as if afraid the walls might overhear. "I've always known there was a last message, something my grandfather left. It's buried in the margins, hidden in the code of letters and symbols." Harper leaned closer. The manuscript was dense with notes, marginalia, and annotations, a historian's meticulous work layered atop Riverton's forgotten history. He scanned the pages carefully, eyes catching subtle patterns in the handwriting. Small symbols, repeated dots, and tiny arrows guiding the eye toward certain words and phrases. "This isn't just historical," Harper murmured. "It's a map, a message for someone who could decipher it." Miss Caldwell approached, adjusting her glasses. "He's right, Detective. My great-aunt spoke of it often, that the founders left a warning and a guide, but only for those who were careful and patient. Whoever reads this manuscript hastily could miss the meaning entirely." Harper's pulse quickened. He traced the symbols with his finger, recognizing a rhythm, not musical but logical. Each mark directed him to a particular section of the manuscript, where a phrase had been underlined faintly. "Seek the heart of Riverton, where past and present meet." "Heart of Riverton," Harper muttered. "The old town square, perhaps? Or the fountain in the library garden?" Harold shook his head. "No, it's a place more hidden. My grandfather spoke of the attic above the library archives, where original records were once stored." Only someone who truly understands the town could find it. Harper looked toward the narrow staircase leading up from the archives. The attic had been sealed for decades, dust-covered and largely forgotten. Yet tonight, in the quiet of early morning, it seemed to call him forward. With care, Harper ascended the steps, flashlight in hand, heart steady but alert. The attic smelled faintly of old wood and mildew, with rays of light slipping through cracks in the roof. There, tucked in a small chest, he found a bundle wrapped in faded cloth. His hands shook slightly as he unwrapped it, revealing a single, delicate envelope. Inside was a letter, written in the same careful script as the manuscript. To the one who uncovers our story, protect it, respect it, and know that some truths are meant to guide, not to judge. Riverton lives in those who listen. Harper smiled faintly, understanding the depth of the message. The manuscript had been more than a historical record. It was a guide, a reminder, and a legacy entrusted to those who were willing to seek carefully and act wisely. As he descended from the attic, Harper realized that while the mystery of the manuscript had been solved, the responsibility it carried was ongoing. Riverton's history, its secrets, and its legacy would live on, but only if those who understood it were vigilant, patient, and faithful to the trust placed in them. And somewhere in the quiet town, the shadows of the past seemed to stir, waiting for the next careful observer. With the last hidden message uncovered, Detective Sam Harper begins to see the full tapestry of Riverton's secrets. Yet the past casts long shadows, and some threads of the mystery remain unresolved. Detective Sam Harper returned to the main library, the early sun now filling the space with a warm glow. The manuscript was safely secured, the attic letter tucked carefully into his satchel, and the faint tension in the air seemed to lift with each step. Yet Harper knew better than to assume that Riverton's mysteries ended here. He noticed subtle changes. The floorboards near the east wing seemed more worn than before, as if recent footsteps had passed over them, though no one should have been there. Harper's eyes narrowed. The shadows of the past were not just metaphors. They were literal traces of human presence, of secrets whispered and steps taken in secrecy. Miss Caldwell, now calm, followed him closely. "Detective, you've done more than recover the manuscript. You've uncovered layers of our town's history that I never imagined existed. But there's something else. I can feel it. Not everything has been revealed yet." Harper nodded, glancing at the towering shelves lined with leather-bound volumes. "History isn't linear, Beatrice. People add, erase, and hide as they see fit. What we've uncovered is only a part of the story. Others, past and present, have shaped Riverton in ways we're just beginning to understand." They moved toward the historical archives, a room Harper had examined carefully in previous nights. Among the organized records, a faint shimmer caught his eye, a small, folded note tucked behind a volume of town charters. He retrieved it, noting the elegant handwriting. It read, "The past is never gone. Watch for the signs where the first and last meet. The key is in memory, not ink." Harper's pulse quickened. This was no ordinary message. It was a hint of something larger, something deliberately concealed to test the persistence and attention of anyone who sought the truth. He and Miss Caldwell retraced their steps, examining old maps of Riverton and comparing them with the current layout of the town. Harper noticed subtle alignments between long-forgotten landmarks and the locations referenced in the manuscript. The hidden gardens, the old homesteads, even certain street corners, all formed a pattern, almost like a puzzle meant to guide the careful observer. Harper's mind raced. The manuscript and the attic letter had revealed much, but there was still an underlying logic, a network of secrets woven into Riverton itself. Someone had intended for a diligent seeker to piece it together. But who, and for what purpose? Miss Caldwell spoke softly, almost to herself. "It's as if the town itself is a living manuscript. Every street, every building, every shadow, all part of the story." Harper allowed himself a brief nod of agreement. The realization was profound. Riverton's history was alive in its architecture, its streets, and the memories of its citizens. Preserving the manuscript was only one part of protecting that living history. As Harper left the archives, he felt a sudden draft brush against his shoulder. Outside, a figure lingered in the early morning fog, someone watching, waiting, and perhaps connected to the mysteries that had just begun to reveal themselves. Riverton had more secrets than anyone suspected, and Harper knew that the shadows of the past were far from fully uncovered. With the manuscript secure and the shadows of the past beginning to lift, Detective Sam Harper uncovers a deeper legacy woven into the very streets and buildings of Riverton. But hidden eyes still watch, and some truths remain deliberately obscured. Detective Sam Harper walked through the quiet streets of Riverton, the morning mist curling around the street lamps and old brick facades. Every step echoed softly, but Harper's senses were alert. The town, so familiar by daylight, now felt alive with secrets he had only begun to uncover. Miss Caldwell had returned to her duties at the library, cataloging the manuscript and related artifacts. Harper knew she would protect them diligently. Yet the patterns he had discovered suggested there was more than just the manuscript at stake. A network of hidden locations, historical markers, and carefully preserved memories that comprised Riverton's hidden legacy. He stopped outside the old town hall, a building nearly a century old, with ivy crawling up its stone walls. Harper studied the facade, noting tiny carvings on the pillars and decorative reliefs along the entrance. Some markings echoed symbols he had seen in the manuscript. Someone, decades ago, had encoded messages into Riverton's very architecture. A soft sound caught his attention, footsteps along the cobblestones. Harper turned, flashlight in hand, but the street was empty. Just a trick of the fog, perhaps, or maybe a warning from someone still watching. He made a mental note to remain vigilant. He visited the library garden next, where the manuscript had hinted at a hidden landmark, a small fountain obscured by overgrown shrubs. Harper traced his fingers along the edge of the fountain, noticing a subtle etching of intertwined letters, a signature of the town's founders. The message, once understood, revealed a meeting place used by those who wanted to safeguard Riverton's history. Harper realized that Riverton had always been a town of careful observers. Every building, pathway, and garden could tell a story, if one knew where to look. The manuscript had been the key, guiding him to these hidden truths. He paused, reflecting on the lessons of the past nights. The manuscript, the attic letter, and the clues scattered throughout the library had all pointed to a larger purpose. Riverton's history was alive, encoded in symbols, passages, and traditions that required patience and careful attention to uncover. Miss Caldwell joined him, carrying a small notebook. "Detective, I've begun cross-referencing the manuscript with Old Town records," she said. "There are hints here of other artifacts, hidden objects, and letters that could complete the story. But someone doesn't want them found." Harper nodded, acknowledging the unspoken warning. The shadows of Riverton's past were not gone. They lingered, waiting for those who sought truth. The manuscript was only one piece of a larger puzzle, one that required discretion, persistence, and respect for the town's history. As Harper turned to leave, he noticed a faint light flickering in one of the library windows. Someone was inside, someone not on the staff roster. The shadows of Riverton's secrets were still stirring, and Harper understood that the manuscript story was far from complete. One final revelation awaited, hidden in the heart of the town, where past and present converged in ways only the careful eye could discern. Detective Sam Harper senses that Riverton's hidden legacy is more than just history. It is protected by someone who has guarded its secrets for decades. Now, he must confront the keeper of secrets and uncover the final pieces of the puzzle. Detective Sam Harper approached the library, the evening shadows stretching long across the cobblestones. The flickering light he had glimpsed earlier danced behind the tall windows of the historical archives. He moved cautiously, aware that whoever lingered inside was deliberate in their purpose. Inside, the room was dimly lit by a single oil lamp, casting golden pools of light across shelves stacked high with ancient tomes. Harper's eyes adjusted quickly, noting the figure seated at the center of the room. An elderly woman, hair silver and neatly tied, eyes sharp despite her years. She looked up at Harper, expression calm but vigilant. "Detective Harper," she said quietly, her voice steady, "I've been expecting you." Harper studied her. She exuded authority, a presence that commanded respect. "And you are?" he asked, though he already suspected. "I am the keeper of Riverton's secrets," she replied simply. "For decades, I have protected the manuscripts, the letters, and the hidden knowledge that the town's founders entrusted to careful eyes. You've uncovered much, but there is still one truth that must remain hidden until the town is ready." Harper's gaze swept the room. Every shelf, every book, and every artifact seemed deliberately arranged, forming an intricate web of historical knowledge. "I understand your caution," he said. "But the manuscript, the hidden letters, and the encoded messages, the town deserves to know, at least in part." The keeper smiled faintly. "History is delicate. The manuscript was meant to guide, to preserve, and to instruct. It is not just a record, it is a test. Those who seek must demonstrate patience, respect, and careful observation." "You have done well, Detective." Harper approached the central table, placing the manuscript alongside the attic letter. "And the final clue?" he asked. "Where does it lead?" The keeper gestured to an old map pinned to the wall. "To the town square. Beneath the oldest oak, you will find the remaining pieces of the story. But be warned. The truth is layered. What you uncover may challenge assumptions and reveal connections that few have ever seen." Harper nodded, absorbing the gravity of her words. The night had already tested his patience, intellect, and intuition. This last stage would demand all of those qualities and more. Before departing, the keeper handed Harper a small, intricately carved key. "This unlocks the final location. Use it wisely. Riverton's legacy depends on it." As Harper left the library, the fog of evening had thickened, curling around the street lamps and muted the town's familiar sounds. He carried the manuscript, the attic letter, and now the key, tangible pieces of a puzzle that had spanned decades. He approached the town square, where the oldest oak stood sentinel in the center, its branches spreading wide as if to embrace the past. Beneath it, a small, weathered box awaited, hidden carefully in a hollow. Harper inserted the key, turning it slowly. The lock clicked, revealing a bundle of letters, maps, and notes, the final remnants of Riverton's secret history. Harper examined the contents, realizing that the manuscripts and letters not only explained the town's founding but also revealed a hidden pattern of relationships, decisions, and forgotten promises. And somewhere among these revelations, Harper sensed a mystery still waiting, a single, final question that could change Riverton forever. Detective Sam Harper has uncovered Riverton's hidden manuscripts, letters, and secrets. Now, as dawn breaks over the town, he faces the final question: how to preserve the legacy while honoring those who guarded it for decades. Detective Sam Harper knelt beneath the sprawling branches of the old oak in the town square. The morning sun broke through the fog, casting warm light across cobblestones glistening with dew. The hollow beneath the tree had revealed its secrets, a collection of letters, maps, and delicate notes, all meticulously preserved. Harper carefully lifted the letters, noting the precise handwriting, the coded symbols, and the historical annotations. Each document tied back to the manuscript and attic letter, forming a coherent story of Riverton's founding families, their hidden alliances, and the cautious preservation of knowledge across generations. Miss Caldwell arrived quietly, carrying the manuscript. Her expression blended relief and reverence. "Detective, it's more than I imagined. The town's history, preserved through careful guardianship, it's almost overwhelming." Harper nodded. "It's not just the history that matters, Beatrice. It's the care with which it was protected. The manuscript, the letters, the hidden messages, they were all meant for those who would respect the past while safeguarding the future." Harper began arranging the documents carefully, making mental notes of which needed to be preserved in the library's archives and which could be shared with scholars. The final challenge was to balance accessibility with protection, ensuring the legacy of Riverton would survive without being exploited or lost again. "The keeper was right," Harper said softly. "History is delicate. Some truths are meant to guide, not to judge. And some stories are meant to remain partially hidden, to reward patience and respect." Miss Caldwell smiled faintly. "Then we preserve it wisely, Detective. For those who will come after us, who will continue to listen and learn." Harper looked around the town square, now bathed in morning light. The familiar streets, the ivy-covered buildings, and the old oak itself seemed to hum with life and memory. Riverton's history was not just on paper, it was etched into the town itself, into the relationships, the architecture, and the quiet vigilance of those who had kept its secrets. He realized that the manuscript, while the centerpiece of the mystery, had been only one part of a larger story. The true lesson lay in careful observation, patience, and respect for legacy. Harper felt a rare sense of completion, knowing that the town's hidden truths would now be preserved for future generations. As Harper and Miss Caldwell secured the documents for transport back to the library, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the old oak. Harper paused, Feeling a quiet reassurance, Riverton's legacy was safe, the shadows of the past had been acknowledged, and the future could now proceed with knowledge and care. Closing note. With the manuscript, letters, and maps carefully archived, Riverton returned to its peaceful rhythm. Detective Sam Harper walked slowly through the town, knowing that the mysteries he had uncovered were now part of its enduring story. Some secrets would remain hidden, but the lessons they carried, vigilance, respect, and patience, would endure. And as the town awoke, Harper understood something fundamental. While mysteries may arise, history, carefully preserved, ensures that truth and legacy live on. Riverton's story, hidden and revealed, was now in safe hands, a testament to those who protect the past while guiding the present. The Midnight Manuscript had sparked a journey of discovery, danger, and revelation. In its pages and in the quiet streets of Riverton, Detective Harper had witnessed the power of memory, the importance of guardianship, and the enduring impact of history. And somewhere, beneath the old oak, the town seemed to whisper. The story continues for those willing to listen.